Okay, there's no doubt that you've already heard about the story where top Trump officials texted war plans in a room that included somebody that they didn't know was in there. And it goes something like this. An encrypted messaging app called Signal is drawing attention and questions after top Trump officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Vice President J.D. Vance, allegedly used the service to discuss a highly sensitive military operation while inadvertently including the Atlantic's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg in the chat. Here's how Goldberg started his article. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, says Jeffrey, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons, packages, targets, and timing. And then he goes on to explain it. But I just want to show you that today Tulsi Gabbard was grilled during a hearing where people are noticeably and obviously a little bit concerned about classified information slipping out on an app where they don't even know everybody that's in the room. And here's how Tulsi Gabbard chose to answer or not answer these questions that people are concerned about.
I want to go back to what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. The Houthis had this information, could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about this. Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
This is a yes or no question. And no matter what you think about Democrat or Republican, or if you think this is a fair or unfair question, I think the American people, the public at large, have this kind of question and they would want a straight answer, not a political answer from a political parasite. Remember, this is Tulsi gun grabber Gabbard. Do you think that somebody wants to grab your guns, put bans on high capacity magazines and AR-15s and AK-47s and make you undergo a background check and get a permission slip from the government to get a right that you already have an unalienable right to under the Second Amendment anyway? Don't you think it would benefit America if she just came out with a straight, yes, I was in the room, or no, I wasn't? But what's she going to do? She's going to play politics.
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not, are you denying, Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics?
Just can't be honest. Why can't these people just be honest? Answer the question. It's yes or it's no. Don't play politics with me.
Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Council. Because it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
As the White House previously
stated, is it classified or non-classified information on this text?
I can confirm.
Director Radcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a Signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I provide?
Now, was that so hard? It's a yes or no question that requires a simple yes or no answer.
Add some context.
But wait, there's more. Listen to this.
Senator, to that.
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset, you made a couple of comments about Signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration.
Then if that's true, why wouldn't Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, just answer the question. Yes, I was in there, or no, I wasn't.
Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement, if you're making the statement, the signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is
I've got a series of
end-to-end decryption. So
It is,
to finish,
I understand encryption.
it is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels.
Right.
So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So my communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well,
Permissible, lawful, no classified information. So, hey, go ahead and release the files. Go ahead and release all of the text. There's no classified information there, so it's not a question of jeopardizing national security. Just release them. What's the big deal with that? Here's what Pete Hegseth, we're going to get back to this hearing in a second, but here's what Pete Hegseth said.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist.
Not going to answer.
Made a profession.
So not answering the question. Now, Goldberg could be deceitful and he could be discredited and he could be just some crazy dude, but that's not the question. That's not the question. Could you tell us, did the chats actually happen? Did you breach any kind of standard or law? And was it classified information?
Of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe that's what he does for a living. That's how he earns his keep. But answer the question, Pete.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Won't that be interesting if the texts actually come back confirming that people were texting war plans?
will make that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee. Let me go
that
on.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so you're contending that it's not classified information. Ratcliffe was at least in there. So you got the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, there. You got the director of the CIA, Ratcliffe, there. And you got sitting beside Tulsi Gabbard, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel. Is anybody willing to be honest about what's going on here? Aren't you glad this mistake happened? How many other mistakes actually happened? How many backroom deals? How many behind the scenes conversations happen that we should really all be privy to? The American people should actually know about.
Gabbard, you are the security executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the defense secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a SCIF?
There was no classified material that was shared in that
So then
signal.
if there was no classified material, share it with the committee.
I totally agree. No classified? Then let's have it. Let's see it. And besides that, why doesn't Jeffrey Goldberg, why doesn't he just release it? This is your green light, Jeffrey. No classified information from the director of national intelligence. No classified information according to the director of the CIA. Hey, no classified information. I'm not going to get in trouble like Edward Snowden did. So here we go. It's not classified, so it's not going to jeopardize national security. I'm going to start typing.
You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question. If this was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with them?
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared in that
And if there's
signal.
no classified in materials, share. And then if there's no classified materials, then you can't even answer the question whether you're on the chat. This is strangely familiar, and I think my colleagues will remember, when you couldn't answer the question, is Edward Snowden a traitor?
Which was also absolutely dishonest of Tulsi Gun Grabber Gabbard. And again, guys, I'm not on the Democrat side. I'm not on the Republican side. These guys are all bought and paid for by AIPAC and the banksters. Every single one of them.
Serious doubts about your... Anyway. Director Gabbard, I'm going to give you this. Tweeted just 11 days ago, and I'm quoting you. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. So if this information is classified, what are you going to do?
Senator, 2 points here. First of all, there's a difference between inadvertent release versus
Careless and sloppy.
malicious leaks of classified information. The second point is there was no classified information that was on
Then the
the
information
signal
committee
group
should
chat.
get that information. Director
And the
Patel,
National Security
Director
Council
Patel,
was
my time's
reviewing
about out,
how
and I'm
this
going to use
occurred.
my 12 seconds that the chairman gave me. Director Patel, has the FBI launched any investigation of this?
Senator, I was just briefed about it late last night, this morning. I don't have an update.
I would like to.
I just heard about it. I don't have time to do anything. That's what you get from every one of these governmental misfits. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. Do you think that if it wasn't classified information, then it should be published? And if it was classified information, do you think heads should roll? Leave your thoughts about this. The only way this channel can grow is because of you liking and sharing these videos with everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon. We got some very, very interesting times ahead of us. I'll see you in the next one.